Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today here we are to discuss about the next category of the blocks in the block series, which is the operators. Okay, so till now we have completed the motion blocks, looks, sound, events, control and sensing. So if you have any questions related to these blocks, please refer to my earlier videos. Okay, so yeah, if this is clear to you, let's continue with the next blocks. Next category, which is the operators. So this operators category is especially designed for some of the mathematical operations, like all the basic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But there are more to it, right? We have a lot of other mathematical operations, and not only on the numbers, we can do some operations on the words as well, right? Like uh, combining some sentences or some words, or maybe some joining the data. Okay, so all these kinds of things we can operate within the data, like among different datas that we have, the collection of datas that we have. If they are numbers, we can do mathematical operations. If they are not numbers, like some words or something, we can do like joining them, maybe cutting them into half, so something like that. Okay, so all these kind of operations, we have the blocks related to it, and let's now discuss one by one. Okay, so let's go. The very first block, these are simple basic blocks for mathematics, the addition. So for example, yeah, let me just type some numbers. Let's say 4 plus 7, that gives us 11, right? So it gives us output as 11. So whatever the numbers that we give, it'll add it and then give us the numbers. So right now I'm just typing some random things over here. But as you can see, like even I type any numbers, it's not even taking that. Okay. It can take only E because E has a special meaning in mathematics, which is exponential. So it is considering that. That's why it's only allowing E letter. Other than that, it's not allowing any kind of letters in the in this. So yeah, we can do exponential operations, but not for this right now. Other than that, you can enter any of the numbers. Okay, so that's how this works. Okay, so if you put a E in front of it, it'll still consider that as zero, so it'll only give you the second number. Let's say this is 7. Okay, so that's how it works. Like E is allowed, but it will consider that as zero in this particular point of time. I'll show you, like there are some blocks for that as well, so we'll discuss about that also in a bit. Now we have, let's say 10 minus 5, so it'll just give us the 5. So these are addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Okay, so let's go for 4 divided by 0, that gives us infinity. Obviously anything by 0 is infinity, so 4 by 4 is 1. And what happens if you put fractions, it'll give you that as well. Okay, so yeah, all these things are allowed in this four blocks. Then we have pick random 1 to 10. So here you give the numbers, so even the negative numbers are allowed. So negative 10 maybe, and then negative 20. So you can give any kind of range, so it'll randomly generate a number, and from negative 10 to 20. So you can go from 10 to 100. So the number will just stay in between 10 to 100. Okay, even 10 is included and also 100 is also included. So yeah, that's how pick random thing works. Now even here we can only enter E. Other than that, I'm typing all the alphabet, but it is not working. It won't. Okay. But still it will be 0 because these operations are, the alphabet is allowed, but I mean the letter is allowed. Letter E is allowed, but it will still consider that as 0. Then we have relational blocks, which will use to relate some things, some of the values. Like here, if the value is 10, 10 is obviously greater than 50. Remember the shape of this block, it is actually a conditional block, right? A Boolean block which gives you either true or false. That's it, nothing else. So it tells you either it is true or false. Now these are informational blocks, like this will give you a data as the output. That's why these shapes are like this. Then we have, yeah, then we have the Boolean blocks where it tells you either false or true. So right now this is false, of course. So 50 equals 50. So it is not greater than, so that also is false. Then if you do 51, then it will be true. Okay, so then we have greater than, less than, and equals to. So all of them work as it is. Less than is like 1 is less than 50, so that's true. So any number which is not 50 will be false over here, and exactly 50 will be true. So I'll just give 50.01. Even this will be false because the values are not same. Okay, so even 49.999, this is also false because exactly it's not the same value. But here it can be true for 49.999. Yeah, it says be true. Now even over here it is the same logic. Okay, so that's how these three blocks work. Now we have and, or, and not. So these are kind of like logic gates. They combine the multiple logics and tell you whether they are true or false. So what does this exactly mean is, let's say for example we have these two blocks combined, and then we have these two, we are just combining them over here. So for example in the first case I have greater than 50, which means I'll just take 67 greater than 50, and then 49. Okay, this is also greater than, right? Let's take 100, 100 greater than 50. Now see here, 67 is greater than 50. This is also true. 100 greater than 50. This is also true, right? So if you combine them, this is just like the English word because it combines both of them together, right? So since 67 greater than 50 is also true, 100 greater than is also true. Both of them, if you combine with the AND operator, this will be true. Now, for example, if I put 49, obviously 49 is less than 50, so this will be false. So here it will be false. Okay. So only if all the conditions which you have included in the AND operator are true, then the entire output combined together will be true. So for example, I'll put one more and then I'll make this as 100. Now what happens? Like here there are three conditions. One is 67 is greater than 50, which is true. 49 greater than 50, which is false. 100 greater than 50, which is true. So here we have one false statement, right? So it doesn't matter where you put it. So if one is false, in even if you have thousands or lakhs and millions of conditions, even if one is false, everything will be false from the entire output. But if this is true, then everything will be true. So for the AND operator, all the conditions that are there within this AND operators and conditions, only then the output will also be true. Now here OR is uh, a little bit different. If even one is true, the entire output will be true. For example, 49 less than 50, this is true. Now 51, this is not obviously equal to 50. So this will still be true because one of the condition is true. Okay. So it doesn't matter how many OR blocks that you have. As I said, tens, hundreds, millions. So all of them combined together in the entire thing, even if one like zero, okay. Yeah, 49 is less than 50. This is true. 51 equals 50. That is false. And then 40 greater than 50. This is also false. So if you activate this, it will still give you true as the output. Because doesn't matter how many false are there. If you have one true, the entire output will be true for the OR operator. And that's how it works. Then we have not operator. So whatever the value that is giving you, whatever the condition that is giving you as the output, it'll just reverse it. So 50 equals 50, that is true. So if you put it in the not, it'll become false. Then 51 is not equal to 50. If you put it in the not, it'll become true. Okay. So that's how these three operators work. And operator combines all the true conditions, and if everything is true, only then it returns true as the final output. Then we have or. So if any one condition that it has is true, the entire output will be true. Not is like if it is getting true as input, it will give output as false. If false is input, then true will be the output. It just reverses it. Then up to here, these are all the mathematical operators. Then we have the uh, words operators, which means you can work on the words. Join apple banana, it will give you apple banana as a single statement. I'll put apple grapes, then it'll still be apple grapes. Okay, so apple mango. So it just combines whatever you give over here. So I'll put Toby is good. So if I join it, it'll be completely one single sentence. Now I don't have space after Toby. Yeah, now it'll be like a sentence. So if you want to join any one information which is okay, now even if you put numbers, it won't be 1 plus 2 because it's not adding it, it's joining it. So it'll become 12. Okay. It's not essentially 12, it is just, it considers the numbers also as words. That's why if you say join, it'll just combine them just like the words. So I'll make it to B. So if I join it, it'll become Toby. Okay. So that's how join block works. Whatever is there, it'll join it exactly the same. You can put any symbols, any number, sorry, any name. Okay, let's make it normal like Toby underscore 67. Then it'll become as a one single one. Okay. So it doesn't matter if it is a symbol, if it is a alphabet, if it is a number, it just joins it. Then if you want to extract any specific letter from the word, you can use this one. So here also there is no like it's not allowed to enter any of the alphabet. Right now I'm pressing A, B, C, D, E, F. Nothing is getting entered over there. But if you press any number, it will be entered. Right now Apple has five letters, so letter five of Apple will be five. Sorry, E. Then we have Toby, which is of four letters. So if you do it, it'll be empty because there is no fifth letter in this. Now you can't go negative also, so it is not allowed for you to enter other than numbers. So in the first slot, you can only enter numbers. So I'll just enter seventh letter of Toby's 4, 5, 6, 7. So seventh is actually a blank over here. Let's see how it goes. See? Oh, 7 is actually S. So let me make it space. So see, it's not actually nothing. It is actually displaying the space over there. Okay, so doesn't matter what it is. Let's say for example I'll remove everything, then it shows nothing. Okay, this is the nothing. But if you put a space over there, it'll still show you a blank space, that is white space. Then we have length of apple. So if you want any word, like any statement also is fine. Even for that, it still counts the white spaces as well. So Toby 4 is 2 and good is also 4. So total combined together it will get you only 10 letters. But in between you have spaces which are 2. So combined together it will make it 12. So here it doesn't matter what kind of number, what kind of letter, what kind of space or anything that you're adding. It'll just consider everything as a character and counts it. Okay. So that's how this works. Then apple contains a. So in any specific statement, if you want to find any part, it's like just searching something. So here also I'll just make it the same thing. Toby is good. And Toby is good contains yes. So that is true, right? Now based on the shape, you can say that this is a Boolean block, which means it says it's true or false. So it's true because S is there in Toby is good. So I'll just make it good, and this will also make it true. Now if I make it goo or true, because that's the combination is still there. If I make it go, yeah, it still says true. But if I say like Toby is good, like we have two i's, right, in Toby 1 and I 2, false, because I combination is not there. Even the two i's are there, the combination doesn't exist, but you can still make it I space I, that combination exists, right? So it will be true. So the order how you're mentioning the searching thing should be the exactly, I mean, the combination should exist within the data that you have given. Only then it will be working. So O and T, that will be false because even though T and O are there, but OT is not there, so it will still give you the false. And then we have mod round. So these two are also mathematical operators. So mod, so when we divide a number with this, you get something called quotient, right? For example, 4 over 2 gives us 2, right? But there is one more thing called remainder, right? 4 over 2 is actually like the remainder gives us is 0. So 4 over 2, that gives us 0. Right now this is 2 because for this block, the division block, it is the number that is coming out will be the quotient, but here it will be the remainder. So if it is 10 over 2, still it gives us 0. But if it is 10 over 3, so the nearest number, the less number which is divisible by 3 is 9, so the remainder should be 1. So that's it. This is a reminder. So if you put it 10 over 2, this will be 5, and 10 over 3 will be 3.33333, right? So in the same way, like here it will give you the quotient, but this one gives you the reminder. So 10 over 4 will give you 2. 10 over 5 is again 0. Okay. So that's how the mod function works. And then rounding off is just round off the numbers. So 67 over 67.67. Then it'll go to the highest number if it is over zero point 0.5. So this will give you 68. If you make it the decimal number less than zero point 0.5, which is maybe 4.9999, then it'll still make it 65. So it goes to the next number if it is more than or equal to zero point 0.5, then it is 68, the next number. But if it is even something less than zero point 0.5, it will still go to the previous number. That's how round function works. So here, whatever the number is there, the next number will be appeared if the decimal value, like after the point you have number greater than or equal to 5, it'll go to the same number, it'll go to the exact same number if it is less than 5 after the decimal point. Okay, So that's how round block works. Then we have some of the functions of mathematical operators. Absolute will give you all the positive integers. Let's say, for example, this is 10. Absolute of 10 is 10. Only positives. So if you give it negative 10, it will still ignore the negative sign and give you only the positive value. So in any condition, you need only positive values, completely ignoring the negative sign. You have to use this particular operator. That is absolute of some number. ABS stands for absolute. So it doesn't matter what kind of numbers you put it over here. If it is negative, it will just be ignored and make it positive. And then we have floor. This is also for the rounding itself, but this is specifically for the previous numbers. Like for example, 67.999. Technically, if you round it off, it will go to 68. But since this is floor, it will go to 67. Okay, so this is specifically rounding off the numbers to the previous numbers. So even if you put very next number to 67, generally rounding off will also give you 67. But floor, doesn't matter what number it is there after the decimal point, it will completely ignore everything and gives you the same number what it is there before the decimal number. So that's why even 67.99999 will give you 67. Then comes ceiling. It's like, floor and ceiling of the number. Number is there in the room. Floor is the one which is before it. Ceiling is above it. So 67.999 will generally give 68 in the round as well. But if this is 67.1, which is very close to 67 than 68, but this will still give you 68. So that's what floor and ceiling is completely different from rounding off. So rounding off is like based on what number it is after the decimal point. Floor and ceiling are more dependent on like what number it is there before the decimal point. Then you have square root. So 49 square root is 7. So it just gives you 7. So if it is 50, then the decimal values will be there 7.07106, all these values. So it just gives you the square root. Then we have some trigonometric equations over here, sine, cos, tan. Then a sine, a cos, a tan. These are the inverse functions of sine, cos, tan. Like sine 90, this is 1. Sine 0 is 0. And then if it is a sine, then sine 1 will be 90, sine 0 will be 0. So whatever the values you are giving sine will be outputs of a sine. Okay, so just the reverse orders, that's it. So for example, cos 0 is 1 and cos 90 is 0. In the same way, a cos is, if it is 0, the output will be 90, and if it is 1, the output will be 0. So here only inputs and outputs will be just swapped. Then we have lan, so which is log e. So lan is lan of 0 maybe is infinity, negative infinity. Then we have lan 1, which is 0. So this will give you the logarithmic functions, so logarithmic values. Then we have exponential. So this is what the e I was talking about. E power 0 is 1. Then e power 1. This is the value of e in the mathematical operations. So 2.71, that is the close value that we take. 10 to the power, this will give you 10 to the power values. So 10 to the power 2 is 100. 10 to the power 4 is 10,000. Okay. So 10 to the power 0 is 1. So it just is the power, that's it, of 10. That's how this works. Then round to 1 decimals. So for example, right now this is also about rounding itself. So I'll just randomly put it to round 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Now see, I told you about the round conditions for the round function, right? The same thing applies after the certain decimal number that you mention over here. So fourth decimal. So fourth decimal number is actually 4, right? The value is actually 4. So after this it gets rounded off. So which means after this it has 5. So after rounding it off to 4 decimals, it will become 67.1235, as you can see. Then if it is rounded off to third digit, which is the value is 3, but the next digit of it is less than 5, which means 4, right? So 4, which means less than 5, then it will be rounded off to 67.123. Okay, so here we are just mentioning it where it has to get rounded off. Now after one, let's say for example you have 7, then at first decimal, like after one decimal, it is 7, which is more than 5. So it gets rounded off to 67.2. So yeah, this is how operators work. A little bit confusing if you don't like if you're not aware of all the mathematical functions, but how these are how they work based on the rules of mathematics and the data like words and alphabet. Okay, so yeah, this is all the how the operators blocks work. If you have any questions, please drop down the questions in the comment section. I'll answer them as soon as possible and as correct as possible. Okay, thank you guys, thank you for watching my video, and have a nice day.